life was safer over there. But I don't know how to get out of this. The truth is that living like this is extremely difficult.
November 4th, I was detained by Homeland Security at the border, and I was never released. I sat there for about 179 days, and I got deported. I had children. I have 4 children from the age of 18 all the way down to 1, and I lost my children.
Nobody did it to me but myself. I've taken accountability. I will always do that.
Like, they kind of can tell immediately, and immediately they're like, hey, you're from the other side.
My name is Joanne. I'm 47 years old. At 5 years old was the last time I was in Haiti. I have lived in the U.S. all my life. I was forced to be living back in Haiti due to deportation. My life here is not stable, is uncivilized. I'm seeking the community's support and help to relocate to a better place where I can find work, housing, and the basics of life. Anyone that can help me, it would be gladly appreciated. Since being in Haiti, I've suffered from depression and PTSD. I was raped on the first week I got here. There's no security, there's no law, there's no police, there's no government that can help me to be safe. My only way out is if I leave. So please, if anyone out there is hearing this, help me to relocate. Thank you.
Being honest, watching these stories really touched me. Nobody deserves to lose their stability overnight, especially people who will use it to the decent life in the US, working hard, raising kids, building something for years. But here is the part that is uncomfortable. Some of the same people use it to say, we are not Black Americans, we are Latinos. We are not Black Americans, we are Haitians. Or, we love our country. We are different from y'all. Some of them would even dismiss Black Americans whenever they were talking about how America can switch up on them real quick. Now, look at what is happening. The very country they were trying so hard to defend, the one they believed in so strongly, is now disappointing them. The protection they thought they had isn't there. And that is not something to celebrate. That is something to learn from. So before I talk too much, let's get deep into these clips. I will come back at the end with more commentaries.
This lady got deported back to Haiti after living in the United States for 42 years. And this is what her living conditions look like.
Girl, this the kitchen right here where people cook. You probably can't see it good. This the kitchen, girl. And girl, let me show you the bathroom. This is where you take a shower at. And let me show you where you use the bathroom at. You see that hole? Okay. Now, this where this young lady and her son, she pregnant. She let me stay until I can get out of here and get on my feet.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I kind of feel bad for her, but I know what y'all thinking, like, okay, well, she didn't do what she needed to do to get her citizenship, blah, blah, blah. But she been living here since she was 5 years old. She probably had no idea that she was supposed to do anything as far as becoming an actual citizen. I mean, that's a hell of a wake-up call. But I feel like this should also be a wake-up call to anybody who's actually from Haiti or anywhere in the Caribbean or anywhere around the world that looks similar to that, or where there's a good portion of their society that has to live that way. I feel like this should be a wake-up call for them, because this should show you that your people and your country of origin really needs help. It really needs some type of stability. Like she said, it's completely lawless out there. Like she said, she got raped her first week back. She said that there's like no government. People just run rampant. It's like hard to find food. Like there's no jobs. Like this should be a wake up call for people who are actually from Haiti, like, or any country that looks like that, because y'all flee, y'all come, y'all go here, there, and everywhere, but then you leave behind your country of origin. And I understand, like, and it's like, it's funny to me, because it's not funny, but it's like, it's interesting to me because one of the jabs that they throw at Black America is, well, at least I have a home to go back to. But most of the people who say that home looks just like what she showed us. So, I mean, that's not even a home that you even want to go back to. And I'm not saying that to be a bitch, but what I am saying is that it's going to take a lot of like strategic planning in order to get that country back on its feet, or to get it to be basically habitable at all. They need to flatten out that whole, everything there needs to just be flattened out, and they need to start from scratch. I don't even know if they're even going to be able to rebuild Haiti without some sort of foreign intervention or some sort of foreign alliance like that. Y'all, at this point, Haitians are going to have to form an alliance with another nation in order to fix that. They don't have the manpower to fix that. Otherwise, it's basically going to turn into a no man's land because everybody's trying to leave. And Haiti has the potential to be a beautiful place, but if everybody leaves and nobody comes back to try to fix anything, it's just dead land. I really do feel bad for her. Like, I feel bad for anybody who has to go back to that situation, because I can't even imagine it. I can't imagine that. But this should be a wake up call. Like, your country needs help, and somebody that's from there needs to be the start of getting it to where it needs to be.
Many months after I got deported, I spent 3 days in jail in El Salvador. That was horrible, man. They made me take off all my clothes and choose from a basket that was in there since who knows when. It was nothing but white clothes, white shirts, white underwears, white shorts. And it turns out that all the clothing that was in there was dirty clothes from the previous inmates. They make you take off everything. I had my hair in a bun. I couldn't even bring my colita with me. So once you change into the all white clothes, they make you walk through like a hallway where there's cells right next to each other. So they put me in a cell with like about 11 other inmates, and about 3 of them ganged up on me. One of them looked big as shit. What you here for? Depending what you're here for is how you're gonna spend your time over here. With a mean ass tone. So I felt like they was gonna gang up on me, and I was like, man, you know what? I took some MMA classes and boxing classes. So clearly, I know how to whoop some ass.
I was coming back from Mexico. I had gone to visit some friends, and I was crossing back through the bridge legally. I have been a resident for 19 years, and I actually was raised in Texas my entire life. My parents brought me and my brothers, my siblings, to United States when I was 3. And November 4th, I was detained by Homeland Security at the border, and I was never released. I sat there for about 179 days, approximately, and I got deported. I can't really answer why they detained me. It took about 2 months for them to give me any paperwork telling me why I got detained, why I was getting threatened to get deported, etc. ICE and Homeland Security never bent. They told me I wasn't eligible to be in that country anymore, when I've never had any felonies, I've never hurt nobody, I've never been to prison, and all I've done was work my entire life. Since I was 17, I worked, never stopped, not a single day. I worked as a blue-collar boy. Once I hit the age of 19, I was eligible to work, and I started working and paying taxes, and I had children. I have 4 children from the age of 18 all the way down to 1, and I lost my children. Lucky for me, I still get to talk to them and communicate with them, but I can no longer see my children, at least till they're able to come to Mexico.
What is this?
Trump.
Trump 2020?
Yeah.
You're a Trump supporter?
No. It's only used.
They gave us these wristbands right before we entered Mexico. We had to wear them to get food. If you didn't wear it, you got nothing. Everyone had to put it on, even if you didn't want to.
Do you hope to go back into the US in the future and start your life again?
I wouldn't think twice. It's very difficult. Sometimes I sit and wonder what I'll do next, but there's no answer. That's the reality here in Mexico.
Just wanted to help you out a little bit. There's $200 for you. God bless.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
God bless.
Today does mark a year of me being deported after living in the States for 36 years. That's something that, I never knew would happen, but it did. It did, unfortunately. But, It wasn't, unfortunately, because I knew what I was doing was wrong, guys. My situation is different than other people. I didn't self-deport. I got deported based on my actions, guys. You know, nobody did it to me but myself. I've taken accountability. I will always do that. Now, what does that do? That brings a lot of things. Accountability is hard, man. Me being deported the first couple months, guys, was hard for me. I cried. I yelled. I was mad at myself for everything that I had done, that I had put my wife and kids through. But over the year, guys, I've learned to deal with those things. I've learned to accept that, you know, we are going to fall short. We are going to fail, but it's how we get up from it. Actions have consequences. Don't run away from them. If you know what you're doing, just make sure you stand on it. I say always practice what you preach.
One of the main struggles I had was the language barrier. Even though I spoke Spanish, because my mom speaks Spanish, my whole family speaks Spanish, it wasn't up to par how you speak Spanish here in Mexico. And that kind of sucks because, you know, when you're having a conversation with somebody who was born here and lived their whole life here, like, they kind of can tell you immediately. And immediately they're like, hey, you're from the other side. And I'm like, no, I'm Mexican, I'm from TJ. And they're like, oh, I could tell because of your accent. And there's a certain look to you that only people from the other side have. And that's kind of embarrassing. Although today I speak Spanish pretty well. Ya ver, veo bien con un tijuanense, pero en esos tiempos, I didn't like the feeling of being judged because I wasn't raised here in Mexico. But that's part of, you know, getting accustomed and acquainted to living here in Mexico. And then when you're flowing, when you get into it, man, it's all good. And you start speaking Spanish like nothing.
I'm going to say something very controversial, but just hear me out. But a lot of these deportations are actually blessings in disguise. And let me explain. A lot of people are going to end up getting deported and realize how much better life is outside the US. I've gotten so many comments and messages from you guys saying things like, yo, I got deported 10 years ago and I feel free. Life here is so much better. I don't even know why my parents left. And I've been telling you guys for years, the USA is on the decline. The USA is going downhill. USA is not the move anymore. But I just don't understand your guys' obsession and need to want to live in the USA. There's a whole world out there. O sea, a huevo quieren vivir en Estados Unidos. The USA doesn't want you guys. The USA is going downhill economically, morally. We are literally watching an empire crumble before our eyes. The American dream that you're desperately chasing, you will never have. But then again, I just don't understand your guys' need and obsession with wanting to live in the USA when there's a whole world out there. The USA has really indoctrinated you into believing that it's the best country in the world. But anyways, you couldn't pay me to live in the US, but I digress. Let me know what you guys think.
If you find yourself deported to Mexico under the mass deportations currently going on in the US, here are a few of the pros of the entire situation. Number one, if you are deported for any type of criminal record, it does not follow you into Mexico and you start fresh. Number two, you can pursue higher education. It's a lot more accessible than we had it in the US. There are scholarships and grants available both from the US and the Mexican universities. Any debts you had in the US do not follow you here. So if you have any loans, credit cards, repossessions, your credit starts fresh here as well. Honestly, that was a huge plus for me because I had terrible credit in the US and I had a lot of debt. Debt collectors, in my experience, are not going to come across the border for you. And the huge pro for me that I don't think is talked about enough is the freedom that you get to travel. Being deported from the US doesn't mean you can't travel to other parts of the world. That is a huge misconception that I see in my comment section. You can travel to other countries without restrictions, with the exception of possibly Canada, because I know they have a system intertwined with the US.
And honestly, even though that I spent most of my life over there in the States, today I feel more Mexican than anything else. I actually love it here and I would never go back, honestly. Before I came to Mexico, even though I was a Mexican, I always had this superiority complex that I felt like I was better because I spoke English, because I was raised in the States. And honestly, you know, you think you're better than your fellow Mexican, which is a paisano. I used to even call them paisanos and paisas, you know, which is insulting now that I think about it. Told me real quick, because once I came over here and started living this life over here, I quickly found out real quick that I wasn't any better than anybody, and sometimes I'm not even as good as most Mexicans, you know, because over here in Mexico, a lot of things are expensive. Life is expensive, and a lot of things that I wished that I could have or even afford are out of my price range, you know. The places that I wish I could visit all the time and have a great vacation, they all cost money, and it makes me realize that, you know, I'm not any better than anybody. I'm just a regular person, you know, and it makes you, and it humbles you, you know, because now I realize one thing: a lot of people who can afford a lot of expensive stuff don't even pay for it in credit. The majority of them pay for it with cash. Like if you see somebody driving around in a brand new truck that has Mexican plates, they pay for it in cash, because over here credit is hard to get, and the way of humbling you, it shows you that respect goes both ways, and living here is a privilege and not something to look down upon.
So we started our video with a man claiming that life was safer over there. He was meaning that life was safer in the USA, but now it is being difficult for him to survive in Mexico after being deported back to Mexico. And that is not political talking, that is pain. That is somebody who lost stability, somebody who lost routine, somebody who probably lost their kids. And honestly, I'm pretty sure that when Black Americans are having conversations about deportations, it's never about wanting people to suffer like this. Is about saying, be careful. America does not love you the way you think it does. Black Americans have been saying it for many years, that America will smile in your face and switch up on you very quick. They have been saying that the system in America is not built on fairness, that the system in America is built on power. And most of the times when that power shifts, the people who will feel it first are the people without full protection. You saw it in those detention stories. 179 days locked up. No clear explanation, lost children, years of paying taxes, working non-stop, and still deported. And for an immigrant, that is not a small thing. That is a life flipped upside down. But here is the thing. When Black Americans talk about that kind of vulnerability, it is not coming from hate. It is coming from their own experience. Most of these Black Americans know how it feels when you build a country and still not fully protected by it. They know how it feels to serve, work, sacrifice, and still be treated like you don't belong. So when they say be careful, it's not an attack. It's a warning from people who have already walked through that fire. And honestly, some immigrants didn't want to hear that. Some laughed, some said, that is y'all's experience. Some even disrespected Black Americans while chasing the so-called American dream. But now you saw those clips. You saw many immigrants saying, I don't know how to get out of this. You saw the fear in their voices. And it doesn't feel like something to celebrate. So this video is not about mocking these immigrants. It is not about saying, we told you so. That is childish. This video is about unity. Because once you've been humbled by the system, once you've seen how quickly things can change, that is when understanding start. I actually respect the guy who said, nobody did it to me but myself. There is real accountability, and Black Americans understand accountability too, and they talk about it all the times in their communities. But accountability does not erase the bigger picture. It doesn't erase how the system operates. And then there is this identity struggle, the accent, the you are from other side comment that we've seen in the clips, feeling like you don't fully belong here or there. That is something Black Americans understand deeply. Being told you are not African enough, you are not American enough, always somewhere in between. That in between space is very lonely. Instead of division, what if there was real listening? What if immigrants stop seeing Black Americans as competition and start seeing them as allies? Because when policies tighten, when leadership shifts, when priorities change, nobody will ask you whether you are from Nigeria or whether you are from Jamaica or whether you are a Black American. Nobody will care who you voted for or who you criticized online. They look at paperwork. They look at status. And if you don't have full protection, you are vulnerable. And that is not anti-immigrant, that is reality. And even the clips talking about fresh starts or blessing in disguise, some people can adapt, they can rebuild, they can find peace back to their home countries. But let's be honest, most people didn't leave the US just because they wanted to. They left because they had no choice. That is a different kind of freedom. So when Black Americans speak on these issues, it shouldn't be brushed off. It shouldn't be mocked. It shouldn't turn into disrespect. There is history behind those warnings. There is pain behind that tone. And unity does not mean that we agree on everything. It means immigrants and Black Americans recognize that the system can also humble another group. But maybe this is the moment where conversations change. Maybe instead of immigrants saying Black Americans complain too much, there can be a shift toward maybe they were trying to tell us something. And maybe instead of Black Americans saying we told you, the message can become we are still here. Let us build together. And honestly, that is the real message here. Not fear, not revenge, just awareness, respect, and understanding that when one group is vulnerable, others should pay attention. Black Americans and immigrants don't have to like each other overnight, but they do need to listen, because that is how unity actually starts. That is the end of the video. Please, if you have enjoyed watching it, make sure you like it, subscribe, and drop your comments down there in the comment section. See you next time. Ciao.